Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to our second lesson on common thermodynamic terms. Previously, we learned that thermodynamics is the study of energy and its transformation. In terms of chemistry, thermodynamics determine whether a reaction is possible and how much product it will produce. We also learned about systems, their surroundings, and their state and path functions. We learned that there are 3 different types of systems based on the boundary between the system and its surroundings. This includes open, closed, and isolated systems. We learned that the state function and path function describe the properties of a system. In today's lesson, we will distinguish between intensive and extensive properties of a system. We will also spend some time discussing processes that are spontaneous and non-spontaneous. Students, if you are ready, then we will begin. The properties of a system can be classified as intensive or extensive. These classifications are based on a system's dependence on the amount of substance within it. Intensive properties are those that do not depend on the amount of substance that is present. Some examples include color, temperature, and density. If I have a glass of milk, it does not matter if I add more milk to my glass or drink some of it. The milk will still be white-colored. If I have a bucket of water that is 12 degrees Celsius, it does not matter if I add more water of the same temperature or pour half of it out. It will still be the same temperature. If I have a sample of gold, I know that even if I cut it in half, each half will still have the same density, so long as it is all of the same purity. Extensive properties are those that do depend on the amount of substance that is present. Some examples include mass, volume, and internal energy. If I have a piece of clay and I add or remove some of it, the mass of the system will be altered. If I have a glass of water and I pour more into the glass, or if I have a sip of it, the volume will change. Internal energy is the total energy that is contained within a thermodynamic system. If I add more substance to a system, the kinetic energy of the particles that make up that system will be altered. Students, as a review, please define the terms intensive and extensive. Then, list as many properties of a system that you can and classify each property as either intensive or extensive. You can work with a partner on this activity.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, students. I am sure that you had no difficulty with that activity. Intensive properties are those that do not depend on the amount of substance that is present. Examples that you might have listed include color, temperature, density, melting point, boiling point, ductility, and malleability. Extensive properties are those that do depend on the amount of substance that is present. Examples that you might have listed include mass, volume, internal energy, enthalpy, entropy, and particle number. Students, I have only listed a few examples of each. If you mentioned properties that I did not, please ask your teacher to review your list. Let us move on with our lesson and learn the difference between processes that are spontaneous and those that are not. A spontaneous process is one that occurs without external influence. Once this type of process begins, it does not need any sort of assistance in order to continue. A non-spontaneous process is one that will not occur unless some external action is continuously applied. Let us try another activity. Please try to think of an example of each type of process. Write your answers on a piece of paper, and I will see you in a few minutes.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello, students. I wonder what examples of spontaneous and non-spontaneous processes you thought of. You might have said that iron rusting, a ball rolling down a hill, or water evaporating are examples of spontaneous processes. Once these processes begin, they do not require any outside force in order to continue. You might have said that heating water, rolling a ball up a hill, or compressing gas are examples of non-spontaneous processes. All of these processes require continuous outside intervention in order to continue. I am sure that you thought of some great examples. Well done, everyone. Today, we learned how to classify the properties of a system as either intensive or extensive. We learned that intensive properties are those that do not depend on the amount of substance that is present. Extensive properties are those that do depend on the amount of substance that is present. We also learned about processes that are spontaneous and non-spontaneous. We learned that once a spontaneous process is started, it will continue on without any external force. Non-spontaneous processes will not occur unless continuous external action is applied. This brings us to the end of our lesson for today. In our next lesson, we will begin learning about the first law of thermodynamics. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.